This kind of goes into the entire discussion about what we were talking about with the character from Star Wars Outlaws. Okay, so apparently Grumps just got into a big fight, argument, whatever the case may be, with somebody who might have previously worked or still currently works at Riot Games. Now, you guys already know Riot Games, right? Riot Games, League of Legends, they are very, very, very woke. Very woke, okay? We already know this. Let's not pretend like it's shocking news, okay? But the excuses that this person has is really sad. It's really sad. And it's because they're trying to say that making female characters is difficult. They're trying to say making a female face is difficult and that nobody understands how hard it could be. Okay. So let's read a little bit here. Well, let me scroll down. Hold on. I'm on the wrong post. Let's scroll down. Let's keep going. Former Riot artist calls me out and attempts to explain why Star Wars Outlaws looks the way it does. Very long and boring post about how art is hard. Scans show too much detail, and then he complains. He was forced to make Riot's character look more beautiful, but that he fought against it. Gamers are basically misogynistic because they want women with makeup like the real-life actor wears daily and only wants to jerk off bait. That's it. That's the entire screen below. So if you read what this person said, Michael from Riot Games, okay? He says, I'll fucking bite. A thread about making female characters in games. This idiot / grifter / probably feigning outraged doughboy really doesn't seem to get it. Even apparently as a developer. Too long didn't read. Making the nuances of a gentler face can be a real tough one in game art. So it's really tough in game art. What's up, Gooch? How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. It's really tough in game art to make female faces. It's tough to make female faces. Okay. So what's interesting to me is that they've been able to make female faces for decades, right? Especially in generic art. I'm not even talking about game art. I'm talking about generic art. They've been able to make female faces for decades. They've been able to make female faces in games for decades at this point as well, and have them be fairly accurate, even back when graphics weren't that good. So how is it that you're saying it's hard and that people don't understand how hard it is, and yet you got the Japanese and the Koreans just doing it nonstop? They're just doing it nonstop, like just easy as fuck. And they also have much softer, much gentler features, I would probably argue. Asian women tend to have very soft-looking faces, much more gentler features. So they're doing it perfectly fine. How are they able to do it so easily? How are they able to do that job so easily? So again, this brings me to my point, right? They're gonna have to admit one of two things, and they don't want to have that conversation. Nobody wants to have that conversation. Either you suck and you got to get good or get replaced, right? Or you're changing it purposefully because you want to change it. It's one of those two things. It's nothing else. It's nothing else, because if you go the argument of, well, it's hard to do, well, get good. Get good. That's it. That's all I can tell you. Get good or get replaced. So then if you can't go with the argument, oh, it's hard to do, so then what's the next argument you have? What's the next argument you have? You don't have that argument. There is no other argument to have. It's either a skill issue or an activism issue. But then you're going to say, oh, well, it's just creative direction. Okay, so you're admitting that you're choosing to do that. You're choosing to change it. That's why this whole argument about, oh, it's hard, that argument just doesn't hold water. You can throw that argument right out the water. Right out the water. Completely. It's such a sad argument. Imagine someone criticizing your work, and instead of saying, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna work on doing better. I'm gonna work on trying to make it more accurate. Kind of like what they did with Sonic, right? Remember what they did with Sonic? Can you imagine if the studio behind Sonic, when they got all that criticism Imagine if they would have said, you guys don't realize how hard it is to make hedgehogs. You guys don't understand how hard it is to make hedgehogs. You don't understand. You don't make hedgehogs on a daily basis like we do. You don't get it. You don't get it. It's hard. Imagine if they said that instead of just admitting, hey, we fucked up and we're going to work on doing better, which is exactly what they did. And guess what? They were rewarded for it. They were flat out rewarded for it. So it's the same thing here, man. It's such a disingenuous argument where you're going to sit here and complain about how hard it is to make a female face. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care how hard it is. You are the one who decided to make a female lead character. You are the one. Not me. You. So if you decided to make a female lead character, you probably should have at least checked to make sure that you can properly do the female lead character before complaining that it's fucking difficult to do. That's not my problem. That's your problem. You chose that. If it was hard to do, you should have just picked a male character. If you're not going to get good or get replaced, then do what you can actually do. Work within your means. That's how I know you're lying. It's because it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. Everybody and their fucking mother does it properly in the video game industry now. You're lying. You are lying. And it's always the same people who are lying too. It's always the same exact people. They lie all the time. Just admit you wanted to make the character for the trans gays. That's it. You wanted to make it for the trans gays. You want to remove femininity because it's against your feminism ideology. Remove it completely. Make the woman fucking ugly. Make her into a man with a vagina. Call her non-binary and move on with your day. Like that's basically it, man. Just be honest. Just be honest. Because I rather view you as someone who's lying to protect their ideology than view you as someone who doesn't have the skill to get the job done. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Right? I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, I don't think you suck that bad at your job. I think you quite simply just don't want to admit what you're doing. You don't want to be honest. You don't want to be honest about what you're doing. So, and then he has the balls to say, hold on, let me go to the next picture. He says, there's a point in that dipshit's original post in that men don't seem to be as edited as a female source. That's a whole fucking culture thing on top of production. We forgive men for having structure in their faces, chiseled, sharp, and we gasp when women have a wrinkle. Nobody's complaining about a wrinkle, bruh. Nobody's complaining about a wrinkle. We're complaining about the fact that those structures that you're talking about that men have in their face that we forgive, we're not forgiving it. It's because it is what it is. The majority of men have that kind of jawline. The majority of men have very wide jaws. You're arguing against biology at this point. You're saying that we forgive men for having what men have? That's not forgiving. That's just what we expect. The problem is that you're trying to take what men have and you're trying to put it on women. That's when people start to call you out and say, hey, bro, I understand that there's women out there that have wide jaws, but I mean, like, how many of that really is the case? Like, what's the percentage of that? I think you're more likely to probably hit it with most women if you make women to be actual women, like the majority of women. You know? And even so, most women that have wide jaws ain't ugly like the fucking bitch that was made for Star Wars Outlaws. I'm just being honest with you. It's not even close. It's not even close. So you making that argument is ridiculous. And then look, he says, case in point, when I worked on the Fiora rework, there was a shit fit had by gamers when we gave her a unique face, one that was stylized, but one that showed structure. So much of a shit fit that we caved to the demands. I did this paint over to make her more pretty. Look at the left, over here, and look at the right, over here. I don't know if you guys can really see that very well. But on the left, she's got very chiseled, very strong cheekbones, a little bit of a wide jaw going on here, but ultimately very structured face. And then what he did over here was he kind of smoothed it out and gave her a bit of a softer cheek and smoothed out the face just slightly, especially the nose and the cheeks for sure were smoothed out, and that made it look more feminine. That's it. That's all he did. Even on the top here, he took the shine off the top. He took the glow off the top of her head to make her skin look a little more smoothed out. Maybe not so anorexic looking. I know you guys say it looks the same. You have to really see it. Let me hold on. Let me bring it up. See what I'm saying? He smoothed it out a bit on the right. Got rid of the oily looking skin. Got rid of the fucking crazy cheekbones. That's basically it. Again, small changes to make someone look slightly more feminine versus, I don't know, angry feminists. I don't know. The left, it's just basically a little bit more rough. That's it. He also made her hair slightly brighter. If you see it now, he made her hair just a little bit more brighter versus darker. And that's it. That's it. Then he says, and back to women, they're given a raw deal because gamers lose their shit when it's really the actors just not wearing makeup in the game shots versus film/TV context. Like, dudes, I guess you don't even know enough women to know makeup sculpts the face. Okay. So I'm seeing this picture go around on Twitter. And I'm gonna bring this thing up a little bit. What they did was they took the real actress, a picture of the real actress, and they made the picture as see-through as possible, as opaque as possible, and then highlighted it over the character's face and tried to claim that it was the same. Okay? It's not, obviously, number one. Number two, the problem is that when you make a picture like this so visible or so see-through, what ends up happening is that the picture behind it starts to blur into the main picture, showing not that drastic of a difference. That's the issue. You start to get this fade where it almost looks like it's actually not that different. But the problem is, if you were to take the picture that's on the left, what were you seeing on the screen, and you would make it not see-through, if you would take the picture and make it not see-through so it gets its full coloring, its full everything, then you will realize very quickly just how different these pictures actually are. You can do this strategy with damn near anything, right? And the whole double chin thing, she doesn't have a double chin. So that leads me to believe that the picture in the back is showing through in the front a lot, because that's the only way she would be showing a double chin here on her what's supposed to be real picture. So whoever did this is clearly not being very genuine. This is showing through, and she doesn't have a double chin. Essentially, they're trying to make an optical illusion. Yes, Larka animation, exactly.